Hiya and welcome to MJT's Wycombe Wanderers Plus. This is Chairboys Chat, and not for the first time. This is the second attempt due to a phone call, which really rather annoying. But we have discussed and we'll discuss again Wycombe Wanderers and the excitement of their last game, 1-1 against Millwall. I did say that this guy
1-0 wasn't 1-0.
What?
It was 0-0, wasn't it? We didn't score.
No, you're right, 0-0. Why have I written 1-1?
I don't know, mate.
Sorry, I was just dreaming, really. There was somebody who put in a little thing into my game suggesting the next one against Reading will be 2-2. And he was sort of moaning and groaning, saying, do you really believe that? Surely you can't believe that. Do I believe that? Well, I mean, in the end, if I believed we were going to lose every game, it's sort of a bit depressing, isn't it? I mean, so we've won 4 games. So that's about 1 in every 5. So we can win this game, can't we, Kieran?
I mean, Reading at the beginning of the season were doing very well, weren't they?
They're 5th in the league.
They're still 5th, so it's very evident that they've got a lot of quality on their team. Something that we probably lack a little bit of. We can be optimistic in terms of, we haven't really got too much to fight for at this point. And so maybe we'll express ourselves a bit more. Whereas Reading, they're probably coming.
I love that.
What, expressing yourself?
It's expressing yourself.
No, it's somewhat true though. You don't have as much. You don't have as much. You don't feel too tense. Like if we lose, it doesn't matter. Whereas if they lose, it's embarrassing more than anything, but it's 3 points dropped for them if they were to lose. So we can go in, not expecting anything and, express ourselves.
Express yourself.
And from,
do you express yourself?
Not particularly.
No.
Very, very content, but...
I mean, when we lost on Tuesday 2-1 to Derby, you see, people weren't very happy because we let the goal in right at the end. But I wasn't so disappointed because I thought we sort of matched them pretty well, so I wasn't fussed about losing. I was more fussed about how we play. Now that's always a sort of comment when you lose, oh well, it doesn't matter, but it's true, it doesn't matter. The truth is we are going down, aren't we?
Yeah. At this point, it's about entertainment and watching your team play well. Hence why the Derby game was better than the Millwall game, even though we got a point in the Millwall game. Because the game against Millwall, I only watched the highlights, but it was trash. And so you want to watch things.
Put it quite as, don't want to use the word trash.
No, but it wasn't.
I mean, Millwall are 11th, so it's interesting sort of judging us against some of these teams. We're not far away from hanging on in there, okay? And it'd be interesting, out of the players that he puts up there, okay, who would you get rid of for next year? Because surely he's going to bring the team, he's going to bring the team down, but we want to take them back up. And the team he wants to take back up are the team that can stay in that league. Now, when we just look at the teams that went up, at the moment, Wycombe are 24th going down. Rotherham again going down in 22nd. And Coventry are 20th, okay? And they are 5 points from going down. So, actually, we could all 3 go back down.
In terms of players, I'd say it's to be a bit harsh on anyone, really, to get rid of them. I think there's some players that may just need to move on. I mean, you've got some of your older players who arguably are past it. I would argue that the players that we have are pretty much all League One standards at least, and I think they've shown that they can compete at a Championship level. Maybe not enough to stay up in the Championship, but that's a different question when you're actually in the Championship as opposed to just being in League One. Maybe it's not ideal if you do get promoted again and then just having to buy to try and stay in that league. But are we going to attract Championship players to play in League One? I don't know. It's one of the challenges about getting promoted.
Well,
But I would say it'd be a bit harsh. I think the area we need to improve is midfield. But I think it's harsh to get rid of any of them.
right. You see, yeah. I mean, I see the Wycombe how Ainsworth does this thing of having 5 generals. Can you that look after the team for him and keep it together?
Yeah.
I mean, there's hardly. I mean, we're not going to keep many of them, are we?
No, it's Akinfenwa, it's Gape, Bloomfield, Jacobson, and Charles,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
And also Bloomfield, well, 4 of them, all apart from Gape, are mid to late 30s, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, we need to find new generals, apparently. That
We do,
seems to be.
don't we? And that is something that Wycombe have always strived on, isn't it? The
Yeah.
sort of way that it's run, the team is run.
I suppose if you were to, unless one of them was captain, you couldn't really name anyone else in that team who you could see being a captain. Which I mean, in a normal team, fair enough. You're only going to have a few people who, have that sort of stature. But if all those players are moving on, then you do need to replace them.
You do.
But finding players who are, one, decent enough, and two, have the leadership qualities and have the respect in that dressing room straight away will be quite difficult to pursue. But
do you think we'll keep? There was a thing I was listening to while watching the football in the background, which I do, as I've said last week, of Benjamin Bloom that oversees the Championship, listening to him rather than listen to the commentary. We will discuss the commentary, by the way, next week. I want to discuss pundits and how crap they are. We will do that when we have time. But just to say that he actually asked where did Mushmeti come from? Okay, and about keeping hold, will we keep hold of him? So I looked it up. He came from Woodford, is where we got him from. And I replied to Benjamin Bloom, and wrote that's where he got him. And he came as a bit of a surprise to him because he rates him so high. Will we keep hold of him for a while, do you think? Or do you think he'll be gone?
I can't see a big enough team coming in for him to leave, because the thing is, we don't really know that much about him. You can kind of get an idea of what someone's like when you're actually in the stadium and you watch them, their body language, how they play, sort of thing. We don't really know anything about him apart from what we see him do on a football pitch. I can't see anyone taking too much of a risk in buying him yet. I think he'll stay with us for another season at least. If he rips up League One, which I could arguably see him doing if we play him the right way, then yeah, it'll become another Cowan Hall, Jordan Ibe sort of thing where we let a young player go, which is just how football works these days. But I don't think anyone will get him this summer.
No.
I think he'd want to stay in this team with this manager as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's Wycombe, and we've got, Reading is going to be an entertaining game, that's for sure. I think it's going to be an exciting game against Reading. I really do. I think it's going to be one to watch, and I think we could possibly get completely ripped apart. Yeah. On the other hand, it could be one of the best games that we can play all season and very exciting. That's what I predicted 2-2, because obviously I'm not going to predict 5-0 to Reading. On the other hand, I think there's going to be goals. and we're going to have to defend for our lives
and work very hard up top. I don't think they'll have to work too hard for their goals. I think we'll have to work very hard for ours.
Is so similar to Ep16, you would not believe. And I mean, it could have been him when I was watching bits. It could have been him. I would say he looked slightly better, but I think
he probably is
so similar, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and I intended to enjoy it, whatever the score. And I do hope this. It's funny because this person that wrote on my thing, sort of, you don't stand a chance, sounded very much like a Reading fan. And then I think I recognise his name, and I went through all the different ones that he'd written on, and he's been the opposition for every game. Literally, it's been they're going to get you. You don't stand a chance, or comments throughout the whole of the season. So a bit of a negative person from Wycombe, I would suggest.
Maybe it's Oxford fan, Bristol Rovers fan.
Yeah,
there's a few teams we have a bit of a rivalry with.
Yeah, either that or somebody from the youth club I run. I just don't recognise their name. And they don't like me or something.
It's an op.
Yeah. Right. Now, part two. Part two is the Bees, which is Brentford's, that's their nickname, but the Bees will be Brentford, Bournemouth and Bristol City. Okay. Now here's your interesting fact for the day. Bristol City and Bristol Rovers, for the first time ever, are without a manager at the same time. There's your interesting fact for the day.
I'll remember that one forever.
Yeah. Now, we'll start with Bristol City, simply because what did I say last week about their manager? I said he won't be allowed around for much longer. And sure enough, I think it was Wednesday they sacked him. So we're doing well. I'm not sure that's the word to use, really, where you're, yes, I got it right, he got the sack. I mean, I don't know the poor bloke. What I do know is that he wasn't doing a great job. Now, Bristol City manager gets the sack. Are there many managers? Isn't being a manager a job that just comes and goes? Don't matter how good you are. Isn't it something that you do your bit and then you move on because things grow stale?
But football clubs have too high expectations. At the end of the day, in the Championship, there are 15 teams, let's say, want 3 positions. There'll be about 9 or 10 that just want to stay up. But there's going to be a lot who idolise going to the Premier League. And you've only got 3 teams who are going to do it. And so the other 12 teams are like, well, if he doesn't get us to promotion, then he can go stuff himself. And if they then go on a bad run, which every team does, then they get the sack pretty easily.
Because Bristol City are 15th in the league. So they're literally midway. But they wanted to get up there, didn't they? They wanted promotion. But doesn't everybody? Are they big enough? Are they a big enough club to expect promotion?
Absolutely not. They're a big club, but they're a Championship club. They're not a Premier League.
I mean, you say a big club. What about Birmingham, Derby, Nottingham Forest, Queen's Park Rangers, Blackburn Rovers, Barnsley, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Cardiff, Bournemouth, Swansea, Watford, Brentford, Norwich. I mean, how many big clubs are there? You know, they're all
there's a lot,
clubs, aren't they?
Well, you said Blackburn. It's like they've won the Premier League, and they haven't been in the Premier League for how long? Like flipping ages. And you know, they haven't even mounted a promotion chase really for quite a while. So it's there's a lot of teams expecting a bit too much, and then when that manager doesn't get what they want, they get the sack pretty easily. I don't think that's probably the right way to go. Yeah, they have to take more care in the managers they choose. It has to be like a week or 2 process where they choose a manager. They have to actually properly think about it, because they just get the manager pretty easily, don't they?
Well,
They see who's about and be like, oh yeah, he'll do. If he doesn't do well,
throw them
then
around, don't they? You get the sack here, you get the job from there, and you go here and you come back there, and it's just so you bounce around these managers, and I'm not convinced they know what they're doing. I mean, we'll talk about Mourinho in a minute when we come to which Premier League manager next, because he's obviously on the list, you know. And we'll talk about him because don't they know what they're getting when they employ these managers?
you would have
Because
thought.
you would think you can see what style of football they play, and again we'll talk about Klopp. Not for that long, don't worry, Kieran,
Thank
because
goodness.
Liverpool know what style of football he plays, and so they know what they're going to get. But have they got the players to do it? And it's the same with all of these managers. And Dean Holden, I don't think did a bad job. But what do you want? Now we'll come to Bournemouth and their manager then, because we know who they sacked. We know they got somebody else. We know they sacked the next person because I said that he'll be next, and he was. Now, they gave the job to Jonathan Woodgate. Do you ever remember Jonathan Woodgate?
I remember him, yeah.
Well, he didn't get given the job. He just had to look after it while they were searching. And they searched and searched and searched. And there were all these names coming up like John Terry and the like, you know. And in the end, because Jonathan Woodgate has won the 2 or 3 games that he was given, he's been given the job to the end of the season.
Which makes sense.
Now, they're in 6th place at the moment, so they're in the playoffs, okay, which isn't bad actually, because they were having a bit of a ropey time without him. Now, that is a sensible move, because the only managers out there at the moment are all the ones everybody's sacked. And if you just go for a choice of 2 or 3 out of 2 or 3, you're not going to get what you're after, are you?
Well, I mean, the managers they were going for as well were very high profile. I think before they got Woodgate, the main person was Henri, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not like Henri's ever done a decent job either, actually. He's done pretty ropey in his managerial jobs. So it's definitely the right choice for them to go for Woodgate.
Well, you see, I look at all the managers out there and which would be the best choice. And I think Eddie Howe would fit the picture perfectly.
Yeah.
He would be, had he not been there and they had sacked him, he would have been perfect for this job.
Realistically, they could have just given him a break as opposed to have sacked him.
Yes, he needed a break, and he would have been perfect for this job now, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I mean, why? There's no reason you wouldn't get him, to be honest, is there? Apart from the fact that they sacked him before.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean to say they can't get him again. Maybe it's a thing that they prefer not to get the same bloke as before. But there are some clubs that have had the same manager like 3 or 4 times. So, I think there are some teams and clubs and managers who just need a break from each other, and then you kind of reset the picture and you start again. And so, clubs are too harsh, and at the end of the day, in a football match, only one of the teams is going to win. And so, therefore, there's going to be one of the hierarchies that are going to be very angry with their manager for losing. But it's like, it's a game at the end of the day, like it is, and people are going to lose.
I think he's a bit more than that. I think he's
I know, but still, like, people are too harsh and critical.
Next one, Brentford. Now, I don't know whether you know what's been going on at Brentford. Brentford, of course, were doing very well. Thank you. And as we discussed this, not last week, the week before, I was saying they can't lose. They'd won 13 on the trot, no problem. Then last week, we discussed Brentford lost a game. Well, they've lost 3 now. They've lost the last 3 games. And you know, I talk about Tony being brilliant up front.
He's stuffed it, has he?
He was injured, so didn't play
Oh,
this
there you go.
Saturday, and he's out for the next 4 games, they reckon.
Cool.
But also, Rico Henry, who in my book is their second best player, is out for the rest of the season.
Oh, good.
So Brentford have hit a brick wall, really. They're still in second, but with the same amount of points as Watford, who, if you remember, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was saying they're not even going to make
Trash.
playoffs.
Yeah.
And Swan, this is fascinating because out of the top 6 at the weekend, 5 lost, I think. No, Watford didn't play. So the Norwich won, Brentford lost, Swansea lost, Reading lost, and Bournemouth lost. And then the next 4 in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th won. So where it had broken away, things have got a bit more compressed in that area.
Mm.
This is why it's so good. I like the Championship, because I will sit here and say there's no question they've won it. And then a week later, after 2 games, it's completely different. So let's mess it up, shall I? And let's say there is no doubt Norwich are going to win this league because they are 7 points in front of the team in second. Let's see what happens with me saying that, shall we?
You'd probably be correct about that one, to be fair.
Admittedly, if Swansea, who are 4th, win their 2 games in hand, they could be just 2 points behind Norwich.
There's one of the things that I don't like about football, the games in hand.
Dreadful, isn't it?
It's just like, if they do this and they do that, then this could happen. I just don't like it. It's too stressful.
Yeah. They need to catch up, don't they? They all need to catch up. Yeah.
Everyone needs to play it Saturday at 3 o'clock, and it'd be
like
great.
it used to be, Kieran. Like it used to be. Yeah, 3 o'clock kickoff.
Was that when money didn't exist?
That was when money didn't exist. Yeah, that was when TV didn't exist, mate.
Much easier times that.
Yeah. That's why it was all 3 o'clock, because you went along at 3 and you wouldn't find out if it was at another time because there was no way of finding out.
You'd find out on Monday if you won the league or not.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to wait for the Bucks Free Press to come out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the EFL with the 3 Bs of Bristol, Bournemouth, and Brentford. We'll have a look at 3 other teams next week. I'll find another sort of reason to pick 3 teams. Maybe 3 teams in the middle or something. I don't know. Okay, part 3. The next one, let me just check a bit. Found it. Which Premier League manager leaves through either a sacking or just leaves? Okay. Now I've got a load on here, and I'm going to pass these names out, and you can sort of like put them in order, or
yes or no. Yeah.
We've got Klopp, Allardyce, Mourinho, Hodgson, Bruce, Wilder, Deitch, or no manager.
Is that the bookies?
No, I've got the bookies on the right, these were the ones that I thought, and I've looked at the bookies order, and I think that's quite entertaining as well.
Well, I can imagine they'll have Klopp at the top, won't they?
Now, remember, this could be people just leaving out of their own choice. Okay, so shall I tell you what the bookies' choices are?
Go for it.
Are you going to tell me what you think, or we just go through them? I'll start at the bottom, shall I?
Yeah, I think I will say is that I reckon they'll be twats and they'll put Klopp at the top.
No.
Oh, good. Thank goodness for that. Some people have a brain.
Okay, at the bottom of that list is Allardyce, which came as a bit of a surprise, because don't you think he'll just leave?
Well,
at the end of
I
this.
can't. I'll say I can't imagine him being there at the end of the season.
I think it'll be his choice because he's been given a job to do, and my guess is if he doesn't achieve that job, he will leave through choice, and I think or through a chat with them. But I don't think he'll get the sack.
I don't know. I think he'll definitely leave, but I think last time was at Everton he got sacked as opposed to he left. I don't know whether I don't think he's ever just left before. I don't know if he's that sort of person. I think he gets more money if he gets sacked though, that's the thing.
Right, so you think he'll hang around to get the sack?
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't, to be fair. Because like if they don't stay up, then he will just go, won't he?
He will. He will. I know.
Even if they stay up, I can't imagine they'd keep him
No,
as much as they probably should. But
no, he's there to do a job, isn't he? And if he does that job and keep them up, then he's finished anyway.
yeah,
I think he's a bit of a strange one myself. But so why he's at the bottom of that list, I'm not quite sure. The next one is Dyche.
Deitch.
Yeah. Strange, because I would have thought that depends on whether they go down, doesn't it?
Well,
I
they've
wouldn't have him on the list at all.
there's I think they've had rumors fly about maybe for a year now about him leaving because of disagreements with the hierarchy at the club or something. But it's never really materialized. If they were to go down, then I can imagine they probably would at that stage because there would be disgruntlement between them. But
They're 6
I don't
points
see any.
above Fulham, and below them they've got Brighton and Newcastle.
I mean, Newcastle are worse, so I imagine they'll do all right. I wouldn't have thought he'd get sacked or leave. He might actually leave if it because he's been there a flipping long time now. It could be a similar situation to Howe. Although I know they got relegated, and so that was the main reason for it. But he has been there a long time, and he might just want to move on and do something else.
I think the cruel thing about this list is that they just automatically pick the teams near the bottom going that might get the sack.
Yeah.
The next one is Wilder, of course, at Brighton. Now then they're only 4 points away from the drop.
Wilder's at Sheffield United, mate.
Chris
Wilder. Graham Potter is a Brighton.
Yeah, of course he is. Sorry. Yeah. So Sheffield, yeah. I mean, what do you reckon?
He should have been sacked a while ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a bit late now, isn't it?
It's a bit late now, and maybe because he's got them promoted before, they'll keep him based on merit. Similar to Parker at Fulham.
It would have been ages ago, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's similar to Parker at Fulham. Like he stayed there because he's brought a decent mentality and all that sort of thing to the club. And
well, I think he's done well.
I think recently he's done very well. I rate it. But I mean, I would have said Wilder a while ago. It doesn't seem as though they're going to do that now. So I can't see him getting sacked.
The next one up the list, as we get nearer number one, is Klopp.
Yeah. It's mad to think that they've put those three managers below Klopp. Like they actually think that Klopp will get sacked more likely than the other three.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. No, of course he's not getting sacked.
Of course, as you know, they're in 6th place. To get in that top 5, which is what they need to do, they're 5 points behind West Ham, and they're actually 9 points behind Leicester.
We need to get top 4. It's top 4, not top 5. Europa League's not enough.
Yeah, sorry. Are they going to though? 5 points behind West Ham.
if we stay in the same form as we are, then absolutely not. I think it's dependent on how quickly we can get Fabinho and Jota back. I think the only reason we're in of course, the Van Dijk thing, yeah, that's the main reason for this mess. We were doing all right when we had Jota. The Jota going out is the main reason we're now in this mess,
And of course,
in my opinion.
if
As soon as we get him back.
if Everton win their game in hand, they're above Liverpool. And if Aston Villa win their 2 games in hand, they're above Liverpool. Liverpool could be in 8th.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. Whether we do it, I can obviously be optimistic and say we will do it. I'm not so sure.
No.
Is it the end of the world if it doesn't happen? Probably not. Because I mean, people are talking about can we get Mbappe or Haaland or whoever, and it's just like those costs flipping £200 million anyway, so it wouldn't happen.
What about Klopp?
Klopp's not getting sacked. Don't be silly.
You see, what bothers me about these managers is they all have their style of play, and what bothers me about Klopp is he tries to play the same football when it doesn't work with different players. Game in, game out. Game in, game out. They've been nobbled by these other teams. They know what he's going to do, and the players he's got have got their heads down or aren't good enough. And he'll carry on doing the same thing, game in, game out. And it's not working. He needs to change that system instead. But he doesn't. Yeah. And I don't get
it. I agree. Maybe he wouldn't be comfortable.
He's not managing the team. He doesn't need to, because he's got it already written down and just tells them, go out there, do what we did last week and lose.
In all fairness, apparently they train less than ever now. They don't actually have that much time to do any, real managerial stuff where you tell the team how to play. That's for any team. Because you have to have a whole day of rest after a game. And if you play Saturday and you're playing Tuesday, Sunday you can't train. Monday you will, you might have a session or two. And then you're playing Tuesday. He's not going to do too much managerial stuff. I do agree though that he just needs to do something different. I don't know what that might be. I don't know. He hasn't got too much at his disposal to change.
Can I tell you something really funny to where sort of needs to sort of change or whatever? Grealish didn't play for Aston Villa. It looks like he could be out for 4 matches. But I think what's funny is Aston Villa manager was not happy because Leicester knew he wasn't playing before everybody else did. And the reason for it is that in the dressing room on their fantasy football teams, the Aston Villa dressing room left Grealish out of their team. And that's how Leicester found out he wasn't in the game.
That's ridiculous.
That's brilliant.
You can't find out from that, surely.
Well,
surely the manager says that Grealish is injured or something.
No, this was way before, and all the Aston Villa players left Grealish out, and that's how Leicester found out he wasn't playing. I thought that was brilliant. Next one up, we got 3 or 4 left. Bruce and no players comes in equal third.
Oh, Bruce and no managers.
Yeah, Bruce or no managers comes in equal third.
I would have put him at the top, to be honest. I would have thought he's next on the list. They had a little run that's actually kept him there, didn't they?
They've lost their striker, haven't they?
Wilson's got injured.
But he's always going to be injured, isn't he?
Yeah. They're only just above the relegation zone. They are struggling, and they are a bit trash, aren't they?
I watched them, and I have to say, I thought they looked pretty good. They got 2 players, Alderaan and
Almiron and Saint Maximin.
Yeah, they were excellent. If only they'd had a player in the middle, they would have smacked Manchester United. And of course, again, Manchester United got a cheap penalty. I wouldn't have given it.
And Maguire elbowed someone in the face and didn't get anything for it.
I thought Newcastle didn't look that bad, but they just don't have that last boom, you know.
I think there are some players that can somewhat carry a team and somewhat carry a manager. Saint Maximan for Newcastle does, Zaha for Palace does, and Fernandez for United does.
Yeah.
They kind of paint over the cracks a bit, where the managers aren't so good, in my opinion.
Next one is Hodgson, comes in at number 2. But he's going to leave, isn't he?
He'll leave at the end of the season. He's
got to.
How old? Bless him. Like, I don't know, but flipping heck, have a rest, man.
They're not going to keep letting him out the old people's home, are they?
No, they can't do it every day, can they?
No.
He's what, 75 or something? Like, you know, it's he might still do a decent job, but like
time.
I don't like Palace isn't one of those teams who's going to ever win a trophy or ever do anything too significant. And I don't think Hodgson is the manager who's going to take them to do anything significant. So maybe it's just a change. Like, it's just like you might as well change your manager sort of thing. It's not that they need to or have to. It's just like you're not going to get anywhere with the current manager, so you might as well switch it up. They're not going to get relegated, are they? So
no, I think it is time for him to pack his bags.
Yeah,
waddle off. And the last top of the list is Mourinho. He's
a little bit.
If you're going to put your money on, you'll get less back for him because he's favourites.
I wouldn't have said he's the favourite to be next, in my opinion.
They've been talking about, we're talking about weeks, is what they're talking about.
Really? Thing is, if you're the Tottenham owner, do you want to sack Mourinho at this point?
Well, they've got a problem with him, you see, and that is his get-out clause. There ain't one. I can't remember where I wrote it down, and they have a real problem with him. Cost of getting rid of him. There was something in his contract that makes it. I can't see where I wrote it down, but it makes it. Oh, here we go. Should Mourinho go? No, because it'll break the clause, and it would cost them so much money that it sort of makes it very, very difficult for Tottenham to now get rid of him. But the question has to be: are they worse now than when he arrived?
They're not worse, but not better. But I think there was a little graphic that Match Today did. I think it is pretty even between him and Pochettino. But it's just like under Pochettino, they were kind of interesting to watch, and now it's very boring football. Everyone knows that it's the most like prominent thing about Mourinho football these days. So there's no real improvement or benefit. The thing is with this season is you want to give near enough everyone the benefit of the doubt because it is a season with no fans and a season with injuries and a season with circumstances that meant they probably couldn't get the players they wanted to get in. I'd give a lot of them the benefit of the doubt, to be honest. I think Mourinho could be one of them.
Yeah, this isn't the season to sack people. This is the season to sit on it.
Yeah, like we know with our football teams that fans make a ginormous difference. Wycombe, I don't think would be in the position they are if we had fans in the stadium. I think we'd be a lot higher. Not a lot higher, but like I think we'd have a lot more points. And Liverpool,
the only team I would say, well, there's two teams that would actually be the opposite. One is West Ham because they're quick to get on their backs, and that's why they reckon that's why West Ham are fourth in the division because they can do what they do and learn what they're doing without people booing them and jeering them, and they can get on with it. And the same applies to Arsenal playing out of the back. They haven't made anything like the mistakes they usually make in their own stadium because people boo them for doing so, and they're terrified.
I don't think Man United get any benefit from it either, having fans in the stadium, because they can get on their backs pretty well.
Okay. Okay, so who out of that lot would you put your money on?
Bruce.
You'll go for Bruce, would you?
Could be within days, I reckon, for him.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's Klopp, for goodness sake. It's got to be the one that drops down into that bottom three. The bottom three, I think, the first player to leave if no player gets sacked.
Manager.
Sorry, yeah, would be Hodgson.
Yeah.
First to leave if nobody gets sacked, be Hodgson. Manager.
I think Hodgson, Allardyce, and Bruce, I reckon, won't be there next season.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Newcastle, they cannot, if they drop, they're only 3 points from dropping into that bottom. They've got a worse goal difference. And so if Fulham win one, Newcastle lose one, Newcastle are in the bottom three.
Mm.
And they don't have their striker. He's out for a while. And I think they're in trouble. I really do. And I agree with you. I think Steve Bruce will be gone. They've got the other bloke, Steve McLaren, sat up there in the stands, and they're just moving forward.
Yeah. There aren't that many managers out there who they could possibly get, are there?
No. It won't cost them to move him forward and put him in the dugout. And he's running it along with the other coach anyway, because since that other coach came in, Newcastle have changed their format, and now they press up the field instead of sat back, which is what they did when Bruce was making all the decisions. They don't need him. He does nothing. And he certainly, I mean, he doesn't do a job there other than stand in the dugout anyway. And he certainly doesn't give you any confidence. So I think, yeah, I reckon Newcastle manager will be, I mean, you might even find at the end of the season anyway where they end up.
Yeah, true.
Because he's not exactly achieved much, has he?
No.
Okay, we'll finish with Premier League managers there. And now we come on to subject. No, well, it's down here as number 6. I had to keep crossing them out because I realised this was going to go on way too long. And we come to third goalkeepers. Now, I love this story. Not very long, but this is definitely worth a listen. Okay. It's a trouble is there's a bit too many bits all over there. Okay. So the question is, when it comes to looking at the bench and not recognising names, what about the goalkeepers who don't even sit on the bench? Derby, we noticed, have 6 goalkeepers. What are goalkeeper number 3, 4, 5 and 6 doing when the game's playing? Where are they and what do they do each week? Well, this is the way it works. And also the question has to be is how good are they, really? And players like Robert Green and Scott Carson, do you remember them, Kieran?
Yeah.
Between them, they played 1,200 first-team games. Scott Carson ended up as third choice for City for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It seems one of his teammates had to actually take him to the Etihad and take him round after he'd been there for a season because he'd never been there. Can you believe that? He'd never been invited along to his home stadium. The chances of him getting a game were 0. Okay. It was Carl Walker that gave him a tour, actually. And in fact, talking of Carl Walker played in goal for City more than Scott Carson did.
Yeah.
Okay, right. But he has a Premier League winners medal. And yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you had to play 5 games or something to get a winners medal. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Now, do you remember a guy called Andy Lonergan?
He was Liverpool third choice when he.
Yeah. Now, he got a UEFA Super Cup medal, a FIFA Club World Cup medal, and a Premier League medal. He's now third choice for West Bromwich Albion. He earned £300,000 a year is what he's on. He's on £6,000 a week. Okay. He actually played for Wycombe for 2 matches back in 2005, 2006. Okay. But he also played for Liverpool for 1 game against Seville.
Did he?
Yeah.
Blimey.
I know. Yeah. Now, what happens to them? What are they doing there? Well, usually it ends up being old goalkeepers. They're the older people that have just sort of run out of sort of steam that people don't want anymore, like Scott Carson, etc. And what they turn into actually is trainers on a football pitch. This is what a lot of them do. And so they're out there trying to improve the game of the first and second goalkeepers. So they keep themselves fit. They have to do all the work. So as far as they're concerned, they earn the money. They're doing exactly the same as the first and second goalkeeper. The only thing they don't do is go on a football pitch. But they train and they try to improve the first and second goalkeeper, trying to teach them everything they know. That's what they do. And as far as they're concerned, they earn their money. Okay. The other thing they can do is they can be younger goalkeepers trying to make it big. And the problem is that goalkeepers don't get substituted, of course, do they? And even if they have a bad game, some goalkeepers, you never still get the opportunity. And there was one guy who played lots and lots of games. He played 420 senior games, who now can't get a team because of his age. He's 34. He can't even get a team. His last league game was in 2016. He's been at 4 clubs in 3 different divisions, but doesn't get a game. At one point in his career, he went to Norwich, where he just sat on a bench. He was never given 1 game. And he was there for years and not even given a game. And he ended up with a mental health problem, because he didn't believe in himself anymore. And he ended up having to find a professional counsellor to help him. And so you get the two. You get the older ones that are trying to teach as coaches, and then you can often find the younger ones who try to push themselves, and they go to a bigger club and then never get the opportunity and end up in a pretty bad state. And they don't know what to do. Nobody ever sees them play. Their names disappear out of the sort of the whole thing. And there's a guy who goes round actually counselling goalkeepers for their mental state. Because unlike a footballer, you can get yourself known, can't you? You can play in different positions, but there's only 92 goalkeepers.
There's always a major story, isn't there? Even when your substitute goalkeepers used, let alone your first keepers used. Like you don't hear them, and the thing is that teams need third goalkeepers because you don't know what may happen. But then, if they want to get games week in week out, they have to drop down to a level they probably don't want to be at. But even they have to be realistic.
Down, how far do you go?
Yeah, as you say, there's only 92 goalkeepers. I mean, think about how many English ones there are.
It's all right for sort of Carson and whoever and all those ones that have made it and done their bit, and to then go on at that age and already got all their medals and done all their games and are just sort of passing the time, picking up their £6,000 a week and stuff. That's fine. But the ones who want to make it, what was the Wycombe goalkeeper who moved
Ingram.
on? Ingram.
Yeah, we thought he could have been a Premier League goalkeeper, couldn't we?
Yeah, where is he now? Do you know?
Flip knows. He was on the bench at Northampton at one point, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, we didn't want to let him go, did we? He went to QPR, didn't he?
Yeah,
and then just didn't play at all. No.
So he then obviously dropped down, but he's dropped down further than he started.
Yeah.
It's sad, isn't it?
It's disappointing, yeah. I mean, I know we have Allsop, and Allsop's been brilliant this season, but it's not like we wouldn't have him and we wouldn't play him. You know, it is sad.
There's a guy that goes around selling goalkeepers gear, like all the gloves and stuff, and he goes around all the clubs selling it, and he's turned into an agony aunt for the goalkeepers. So they can sit and cry on his shoulder.
Being a goalkeeper is very, think about it, is very weird. I mean, you do maybe, well, if you're a lower league goalkeeper, all you do is make saves and do goal kicks. That's literally it. So you may touch the ball maybe 10 times in 90 minutes.
And yet they have to keep as fit and ready as possible. So they have to go to the gym, all the training, and yet they never play. Can you imagine?
You can earn all the money in the world you want, and yet that is still quite sad, isn't it?
I mean, can you imagine what you were like when you got substituted?
Fuming.
And yet, can you imagine never playing year in, year out, never actually getting a game? Although this guy does talk, this particular guy, I think his name's Paul Jones, he does talk about there was one third goalkeeper at one of the teams he went to who was terrified of going onto a football pitch. He was happy being third goalkeeper and doing all the training and stuff. But when and if there was any chance he was going to be called onto the pitch because anybody was ill or something, he'd always say he was ill or got an injury, so he never had to play.
But you would be. There's a lot. If you're the third goalkeeper and you're expected to do a job, there's probably a lot of pressure on it. It's the only time people are ever going to see you, and you need to impress.
I mean, look at Wycombe on Saturday, using our second goalkeeper.
Yeah, he probably got most plaudits coming out of that game.
He's been around, hasn't he?
A long time, yeah.
And yet that was one of the first games we've seen him play.
I think he came on for a few last season when Allsop got injured, but yeah, he's less than 10 at least.
As long as Allsop there, he don't stand a chance, does he?
No. It's rare that you see a team have two goalkeepers that are on similar talent levels, isn't it? They don't chop and change.
But what happens to him when Allsop's back and fit? It don't matter how well he's done for Wycombe, does it?
No.
He'll lose his place again. He could make every save known to mankind, but he won't get on, will he?
No. To be fair,
Manchester United as an example.
Yeah. I mean, Henderson was the best goalkeeper in the league when he was at Sheffield, wasn't he?
But not even given a chance, is he, at United?
Barely. But they need to, because De Gea's not doing a good enough job.
And yet he still can't get on the pitch. That makes sense, does it?
Goalkeepers are weird, mate.
Okay. How are we doing time-wise, Kieran? Any idea?
About an hour.
Oh, dear. Shall we leave the next subject?
We should probably just do predictions, yeah.
Predictions it is, then. Okay. We'll leave Haaland and Mbappe being the next Messi and Ronaldo till next week, then. Okay, predictions. I'm not sure I did very well.
I can't remember if we did well or not. I haven't had a look. But I assume we're doing next weekend's round.
Let's have a look at next weekend's.
Man City, West Ham. Man City are a machine, and they'll just,
I watched Manchester City versus Arsenal. I turned it on. City scored. I turned it off. I thought I'd go and do something else instead.
Man City didn't bother for the rest of the game either, did they?
And there you go. Isn't that what we discussed last week? As Manchester City, what a waste of time. And it boring. No point.
No, absolutely.
And all we knew was if Arsenal pulled their socks up and improved, City would just go and put another one in the net.
Yeah, because they can just do it at the click of a finger, can't they? Doesn't even matter.
Waste of time.
West Brom versus Brighton. Maybe Brighton? No, probably a draw. I'll say a draw.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the most intriguing game.
But the both teams, see, I think that'd be one worth watching. I think that'd be really exciting attacking football with strikers that can't score.
So it'll be an entertaining 0-0.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think neither team can kick the ball in if it's on the line. But they can get it on the line.
Because the defences are pretty poor.
Yeah, so you got two bad defences, two bad attacking teams, but they're attacking teams. And both need to win.
They do, very much
or
so.
they daren't lose is another way of putting it. So I think that's one definitely worth watching, that game.
Next is Leeds versus Aston Villa. If you say Grealish is injured, then Leeds every day of the week.
Yeah. Funny how we agree on a lot of these things.
Well, like father, like son, isn't it? Newcastle versus Wolves. Wolves have a few decent players, and they'll probably. But so did Newcastle. It's poor teams at the moment, but have a few players that can do a few things.
I won't, but I don't. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll go with Wolves because Newcastle are trash. Yeah.
I'm going to give that one a draw. That's going for a 1-1 or something. I'd just be uninterested. I shan't bother watching that one.
Crystal Palace Fulham. Just to make it more interesting in terms of the relegation battle, maybe say Fulham.
Well,
and I think
because isn't he still out? Our friend.
Who is Zaha out?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay. If he is, then yeah, absolutely. I think Palace are kind of just strolling towards a mid-table finish, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so, I think they'll be motivated more than Fulham to get a result.
That one's on BBC. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they picked up about 3 games, so all the ones at the bottom.
Yeah. Leicester Arsenal. Leicester look really good, don't they?
I'm saying Arsenal because I think Arsenal can do it.
I hope Arsenal do it, to be honest with you. Because I want them to actually get a few results here and there, because it makes Arsenal a much more interesting team.
Yeah.
And we know how good Leicester are, but I just can't see. Leicester just seem in better form than Arsenal right now. Tottenham versus Burnley.
Draw.
Yeah.
1-0 to Tottenham.
It could be just like a Harry Kane penalty, and then that's about it.
Yeah.
Could be one of those.
Well, he does. I saw another one of those Harry Kane jumps. Who did that? Oh, it was a Newcastle player. Well, so did Harry Kane last week do it, and he got his free kick. But this week, what's that player called for Newcastle?
LV.
Joson or something?
Joe Linton.
Joe Linton, that's it. He did it, and the free kick went the other way.
Good. So it should.
And they made a lot of comments about it on the TV. About how dangerous that was.
Yeah, but Joe Linton's like what, 6'2", 3"? Yeah. He can win the headers himself.
Yeah. Of course, he didn't leave the ground and just bent
Yeah.
and the guy went over the top. Dreadful. It's about time Harry Kane got a red card because he did it last week and got a free kick again. It's about time he got a red card for that.
It's dumb. It is dumb. Chelsea, Man United.
Well, you must want Chelsea to win it. Just let Man United come second.
No, you want United to win it because Chelsea are one of those fighting for the top 4. But I don't like United. I don't really want them to win it. I want United to win it, but Bruno Fernandes gets sent off because stuff him. I don't like him. He's too good at the moment. Sheffield United versus Liverpool. Whoa. Oh no. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
No, we go for a draw for that one.
I can't draw to Sheffield United. Crowd loud.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine losing?
Could you imagine we lost to Sheffield United? Yeah, because we can take the mick out of Man United for losing to them. Can you imagine if we did it as well?
I mean, Sheffield United are going to go in there for anything. Anything. Yeah. And Liverpool just don't have it.
And Henderson's injured now as well. I don't know.
I'm not watching that. I have to tell you, I have no intention. That would, no, thank you. That's just painful. That's just painful. And anyway, Wycombe are playing on Sunday.
Why are we playing on Sunday?
It's against Norwich and it's on TV.
And the last one is Everton, Southampton. I mean, the Southampton are in crappy form, aren't they?
When's that? Monday.
That's Monday, yeah. But then Everton
Southampton won.
No, they drew against Chelsea.
Oh right, and you see who scored?
I know.
Your little friend.
He scored 2 in 3 games for them now. He's actually played well for them.
Do you know, same as Mr. West Ham, they took that.
Lingard, yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Who
know,
remembers Jesse Lingard?
You take them out of that pressure with their teams, give them a bit of freedom. When they want to get going, they get it back, and then you bring them back. Because United didn't. They sold him, didn't they?
Whereas, they sold him? Oh, well.
I think he's not on loan, is he?
I can't remember, honestly. I can't imagine why they would send him out on loan. They haven't used him in flipping knows how long. But yeah.
Else had a good game, and that was what's his face at Tottenham.
Which one?
Real Madrid.
Bale.
Yeah, he played really well.
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah.
So why haven't Mourinho not used him? I do not know. Yeah. Oh, actually, I might be able to watch those on the Sunday because it's 12 o'clock. Wycombe versus Norwich.
Oh, that's all right then.
On Sunday, 28th. Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've. I didn't say Everton or Southampton. Well, obviously, I want Southampton to win that.
Yeah.
We do not need a 9-0 against Southampton again. So hopefully they'll give that a miss. Always possible. And I think that's about it. Is it? We're there.
That is all the predictions.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, Kieran.
No worries.
I see you're worn out from having
my busy day of doing university work.
Yeah. Well, I'll get on with cleaning the house, and thank you very much for your time. And we'll put this up for 6 o'clock this evening.
Lovely.
We'll say goodbye then.